Hi everyone, it's Rax, and welcome to another Diablo Immortal guide. Today I want to talk to you about challenge rifts, which are probably the most competitive game mode in Diablo Immortal. So if you really want to show what you're made out of, you will clear very high challenge rifts. And there's some things to understand about them before you even go in that will really help you. And then later on, I'll show you some gameplay. I was actually in first place 4 challenge rifts in the alpha, and I got the first challenge rift clear in the beta as well. And I can show you some of the strategies that I implemented in order to get the top clear. All right. So first of all, let's just talk about what are challenge rifts. Maybe you might be new to them. They are not exactly the same as challenge rifts in Diablo 3. There are 100 levels currently in the game. I'm sure there will be more later on, but let's just say for now there are 100 levels. And when you open one, there is no cost. So you can open a challenge rift and take one look at it. You don't like the layout, you don't like the mobs, and you leave. This is a super important strategy that we're going to talk about in a little bit. So there's no cost to open it. You have a 10-minute timer, and you have 10 minutes to kill enough monsters and elites to spawn the boss and kill the boss. If you are successful in doing all of that, you will have completed that challenge rift tier. Let's just make up a number. Let's say it's level 40, and then you will unlock higher levels depending on how well you did. If you dominated it, it'll unlock a bunch of tiers ahead of you. And if you didn't dominate it, it might just unlock level 41 for you to try. So there are leaderboards. There are weekly leaderboards for this in both solo and multiplayer. And if you are in the top 1,000 for solo or in the top 10 for multiplayer, you're going to get some very nice rewards that you'll be going after. Now, the one kind of weird thing about the multiplayer leaderboards is, let's say I have like a super team and we get the top clear. We can remove one player from our group and bring them in and get the rank 2 clear. And while we will only get paid out for our top clear, we could just feed rank 2 to somebody else. So hopefully they do something to fix that kind of nonsense, because really, people shouldn't be able to carry others for a rank, right? That's kind of dumb. But that's the way that it worked, at least when I played. So beware of that. So let's talk about how the challenge rifts actually work so we can start to understand how we can manipulate that to our advantage. So first of all, what exactly happens in a higher challenge rift? Why does it become more difficult? Well, it's because of a little thing called offense and defense rating. I have heard that they are going to change this name to combat rating on live, which would be a fantastic change. So whether it's offense and defense rating or combat rating, it's the same idea. So the monsters themselves have an ORDR value. Okay, so at challenge rift 5, that value is 220. That is matched against your ORDR. If your ORDR is right at 220, it's equal to theirs, then you will have a very normal experience and you'll be able to clear it without too much difficulty. If you are far ahead of this number, you're going to destroy them. And challenge rift 5 is going to be a joke to you. But if you're below this rating, then they're going to be extremely difficult, eventually to the point where you actually can't even do it. So let me give you an example. Let's say challenge rift 32 is ORDR rating 1565. And let's say my ORDR is 1,000. There is no chance for you to clear that tier. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how much money you pay. If you're like 500 levels behind, there's nothing you can do. Your damage is reduced by like 99%, and they hit you way harder. There's no way for you to make that 10-minute timer. Okay, so they might tweak the numbers or whatever. 500 might not be the number. When I played, it was like 150. If you were 150 behind this number, you essentially had absolutely no chance. So they might tweak the numbers, but the thing to understand here, like all things with Immortal, because the game is changing, is the high level concept. The monsters have an ORDR value at every level, and you want to be at least very close to this number or above it to clear this tier, right? So before we get into the strategies here, let me tell you something else about challenge rifts. You get a reward for the first time you clear every tier. You get a reward for clearing 4, and then 5, and then 6, and then 7, right? Get a reward at every tier. So if you clear Challenge Rift 4 and you did amazing, and it unlocks Challenge Rift 10, you should not run Challenge Rift 10. You should run Challenge Rift 5. Because if you do Challenge Rift 10, eventually one day you're going to have to go back and clear 5 through 9 anyway, because they give you a reward at every single level. And another thing to understand about challenge rifts is they don't give you any experience, as this warning is telling us right here. So you should only do challenge rifts if you've got a new one to clear, or you're trying to push a new tier to get on the leaderboards. And that's pretty much it, right? You shouldn't do them or maybe you have a quest for them, right? You shouldn't do them willy-nilly for fun. Another thing is, if you are not competing, if you're not going to be in the top 1,000, if you're not going to be in the top multiplayer leaderboards, if you're not going to get this bonus, then really there's really no incentive for you to struggle in these challenge rifts ever. You should essentially never pull them and try, unless you're at least at or above the ORDR level. Because if you're not getting on the leaderboards, you're not getting anything extra. And because it doesn't give you any experience, you're much better off doing something different to actually power up your character, like dungeons or elder rifts or bounties or some other daily task. That's a couple of things to understand. Now, the first player on the server to get every 10th level, 10, 20, 30, 40, is going to get a big message. It's going to tell the whole world that you did it, and you're going to get an extra cash and or an extra reward, and your name is going to be displayed there forever. So there is usually a race to get 10, 20, 30, whoever can get it first. And in the clear that I'll show you, I was the first one to get 80, which was pretty high. There's only 100 levels, right? Okay, so that covers most of the basics about when to do challenge rifts and what you're up against your ORDR versus theirs. Now let's talk about the pylons. So a conduit pylon makes you shoot electricity out of yourself, and it deals massive damage for a short period of time. The very important thing to understand about a conduit pylon is, as it's ticking that lightning damage, there's a limited number of monsters that it can hit. I don't know what the number is. Let's say it's 5. Obviously, the elites are way harder to kill than the trash. So when you see a conduit pylon, you should do a couple of things. You should gather all the elites together in one spot right by the conduit. That way, when you click it, you can zap them. And as much as you possibly can, you should lower the mob count before clicking it. Because if you have 5 elites on a conduit with 1,000 monsters, and you click the conduit, and every zap, it can only hit 5 monsters, you can imagine that almost every zap is going to go to a little trash monster instead of the elites. That will cost you a clear 100%. So just to display this in action, using my favorite tool, Paint, let's say this is the layout of a challenge rift, right? All right. And let's say there's an elite here, and there's an elite here, and there's an elite here, and here, and here, okay? Okay, and then all around everywhere there's little trash monsters. So here I come, I'm coming down, okay, I see this elite, and I'm going to start dragging the elite forward. As I walk forward, okay, I aggro, that's the first elite, I aggro the second elite, okay, I'm still going forward, now I got 2 elites on me, I got 3 elites on me now, and I find the conduit pylon, the lightning bolt, right? Man, that's a beautiful lightning bolt, I'm pretty much Michelangelo. What you don't want to do is don't click it right away. Don't do that, okay? Because now I've got Elite 3, I've got Elite 2, and I've got Elite 1 right here, right? I've got 1, 2, and 3 right here. Go a bit further and be greedy. Okay, I've got 4, I've got 5. Now we've got a lot, right? Okay, now that's a lot. Now we kind of back up, and if we can stay alive. And now we've got about 5 elites on us, right? Now, the only thing that you have to do is diagnose how much trash is there. So let's say there is trash everywhere. All these little blue dots are the little trash monsters that are still alive. And there's a million of them. Don't click the conduit, because if you click it, the lightning is going to shoot all the little blue stuff, and guess what? None of the elites are going to die, and you are going to lose. Instead, sit here and fight, okay? Look, I'm fighting. Look, the trash mobs are dying. You don't have to kill all of them, but kill a lot of them. And now, bam. Now we take the Condi, and guess what? The lightning is hitting all of this stuff, and we got 5 elites, and our progress bar used to be like that, and then our progress bar looks like that. And we're going to win, right? That's how you use Conduit. Frenzied, it just gives you seems to give you like a 100% chance to crit. The dream is you pull a lot of elites and then get a conduit, and then you spawn a frenzy shrine for the boss. Can you imagine just critting the boss every single attack? The boss is tough at the end. They did a good job of designing it. You're going to be in for a fight, especially if you play. Did you watch my Immortal tier list? Some of them are not good at fighting the Rift Guardian. It's going to be a multi-minute fight. If you have a Frenzied Pylon for the boss, it's going to be real good. You're going to smash him, right? Empowered is pretty good. Cooldowns reduced, attack speed increased. Again, it's best if you use it on the Guardian or if you have a big group of enemies. Don't have to use as much strategy here. You should gather up a group of monsters and then click it, obviously, but you don't have to be as surgical with it as the conduit. Fleeting just makes you move faster, okay. And alchemical freezes enemies. It's a little bit helpful for survivability. Not that big of a deal. These two you can pretty much just click them as you get them, okay? So that's how you use pylons. Conduit, gather everything up, thin out the herd, lightning bolt everything down. Frenzied, try to save it for the boss. If you're not going to clear it in time without clicking it instantly, then click it instantly, but try to save it. All right? All right, what else can I tell you here? We already talked about the OR and DR. Okay, let's talk about fishing. I mentioned this briefly earlier. It doesn't cost anything to open a challenge rift, right? If you're trying to be the first person to clear challenge rift 20, if you open up a layout, let's go new here. Let's do black so it doesn't flash bang you. So if you open up a map and you'll start to get familiar with it, and you see you have like a cave, right? You walk into the door and you see it's like a twisty, turny cave that looks like this, right? This map sucks. Just leave. Just leave and open another one. You don't have to play those maps, right? So you'll see in the clear, I wait for, a nice normal map with big hallways that has like a big room every once in a while where I can really do some damage. And a lot of things that have to deal with a strategy is your ability to gather monsters, right? You're going to see me weave through monster, monster, monster. They follow me. You're going to see me go over here, weave through them, and come back. Okay? And then you'll see me start to make these like circles, circling your prey. And eventually, as you keep doing this, you make this huge pack of density. and you keep shooting all your AoEs toward the middle or whatever you've got on whatever class you're doing, and then you just wipe out an entire room, and then you move forward right past the penis that I drew into the next big room and do it again, right? That's the first thing to understand is fishing. If you don't like the way that the layout looks, leave. If you don't like the monsters, leave. In the alpha, there were these little fetishes, that shot these poison darts at you, or these archers. Those ranged monsters are not invited to my birthday party. They will kill you instantly. I walk 2 steps forward. If I see that the mob type is those fetishes or those archers, I'm out. You want something stupid like the little cultists that just stand there and try to chase you and try to punch you. That's ideal, right? Another problem that you may face are the elite affixes, right? Some of them are extremely annoying, like Waller. Man, I hate Waller. They block all of your shots and you can't do any damage. Jailer for some builds can be certain death. Remember, you're building that huge density and circling around it. They jail you and you're frozen for a moment. At least as a little demon hunter, that usually means the end of you. Unfortunately, sometimes some of the Rift Guardians are just impossible to kill. A really good example is any boss with ads. When a boss with ads come up, a lot of times your attacks will be eaten instead by the minions. And even if you can survive and dodge everything, the minions taking up your attacks is sometimes enough for you to just lose the challenge rift. So you're going to need usually a single target guardian who's not going to chain kill you in order to win in the end. And we already talked about the pylons. You're not going to get a conduit pylon and a frenzied pylon every single time. So sometimes you got to fish for it, unfortunately, to get the win. All right, let's see some of this gameplay in action. This is me going for world number 1, Challenge Rift 80. And one thing you're going to notice right away, the second when I move in, is it's going to give me a warning. Monster difficulty very high. This means, remember how we talked about earlier, my ORDR is lower than the required level, and it was way lower. It's like 150 points behind, which is going to make this almost impossible for me to clear, which is why no one had done it before. So notice how I ran past all the trash mobs, and I'm moving in a way that lets them all gather up. This lets my multi-shot and my Rain of Vengeance get a ton of value, right? When I use my abilities, I'm hitting like 30 enemies instead of hitting like 2 or 3. So the worst way to play challenge rifts, just to very slowly kill everything as you cross it. You got to take some risks. Got to go past the monsters, and you got to group them up. You'll notice these ranged archers are absolutely ruining my day. If you see a bunch of ranged monsters, just leave. Just leave and open a new one until you get one that doesn't have it. If you get a layout that you don't like, it's a twisty, turny cave that's very hard to navigate, just leave. And you can see those archers just absolutely destroyed me. It looked like I killed 99% of the monsters. Doesn't matter. There was one ranged monster alive, was enough to absolutely destroy me. Let's jump ahead a little bit here and let's see how it goes a little bit later on. Up here I'm fighting some blue archer elites. Again, super difficult to deal with because they're ranged. I'm almost dead. I'm almost dead. I've got to dodge all of their attacks or I'm going to die. Try to drop the Rain of Vengeance where I think the monsters are going to come. So ideally about here, I would get a conduit pylon, right? A conduit here would help me so much. I could zap everything down. And then later on, we would like to get a frenzied shrine for the boss. That'll give me like a guaranteed chance to crit. That would be the dream. Well, if I remember correctly, I don't think we're going to get a conduit here. And by the way, if you want to see the whole challenge rift clear, I'll post the link in the description below if you want to see the whole thing. But we just got this one guy left, grab all the juicy orbs, and we're making some nice progress here. Now, I'm a demon hunter, so I have like the highest boss damage of any class, right? So you would think, oh, well, I'm going to be able to dominate the Rift Guardian no problem, right? It's still going to take multiple minutes of fighting, as I'm 1 HP, My Phoenix Ashes just saved me. I'm just in huge trouble from these ranged monsters. And you can see my potion cooldown right here. You can refill its charges by killing enemies. And I'm just trying my best to stay alive here. Cannot afford too many more deaths or it's going to be a loss. But I really wish I could stop getting elite pack after elite pack that are ranged. There's just no way to survive it, as one archer just absolutely destroys me. It's pretty tough. Okay, we're back up. And we have a Frenzied Shrine. So a Frenzied Shrine, again, we want it for the boss. Now remember, this elite is almost dead. So I could take the Frenzied Shrine right now and finish them off. And then we should have most of it for the boss. So it might be a good idea to take it soon. And I did do that. And now with the Frenzied Shrine, we're pretty much going to crit all the time. So now everything changes drastically. Now I've got my buffs up. Now I've got my Frenzied Shrine. And now you can see how easily I can shred these blues, especially when they aren't ranged. When they're not ranged, then they die almost instantly. So the boss is spawning. Again, we are praying for a single target boss without ads, and that's exactly what we got. If we got a boss with ads, our shots would be absorbed by that and by the ads, and we'd be in huge trouble and we'd lose a lot of damage. Lagging a little bit there. And by the way, those wolves that you keep seeing coming out of my Demon Hunter, that's the 5-star legendary gem Howler's Call. That was probably the best legendary gem in the alpha. I heard that they nerfed it a bit. So it's not quite as good, but it's still super good. Obviously, it's still a 5-star gem. And so, yeah, this is very tough. I really can't afford to get hit by much and got destroyed instantly. This is one of the problems with Demon Hunters. While you're auto-attacking, it gives you a very, very huge movement speed penalty. If I had been moving at normal speed, I definitely could have survived. But moving so slowly, it's very hard. And the game's lagging a little bit, so you got to release your auto-attack ahead of time and then just hope and pray that you don't run into the red circles. So as you can see, I'm like the strongest class at fighting this guy in the game, and you can see how long it's taken me. I don't know why my Rain of Vengeance through there. Sometimes things go very, very poorly, as you can see, but that Rain of Vengeance was completely wasted, unfortunately. So I finally decide, all right, let's back up here and let's try to get him into the big room. Maybe this will help me a little bit. You can see here he's got 3 red bars of health that you have to chew through. And I'm hoping that this little thing will help me stay alive. Let's see if we can use our abilities a little bit more intelligently here. Okay, so that time we hit the Rain of Vengeance perfectly. You can see I'm only hitting him for like 1,000 damage per shot. Whereas I hit monsters in the overworld where I'm a higher ORDR than them, I might hit them for like 100k. But I have a severe, severe penalty fighting this boss. And it looks like he did summon some ads, so that's not good. So it turns my auto attack into a big multi-shot. We're finally on the last health bar. And one thing that you're going to notice, if you do get a server first clear, is here in the chat, it's going to show that, you know, I cleared the first 80. It's pretty cool. You'll get an extra reward, and you'll get your name etched in there forever for people to see. So there is an incentive to try to get the first one at every tier, every 10th tier, I should say. And he's finally going to go down. Look at my time. I mean, it took me almost the entire time here. Once we got into this big open room, things got a lot better. I got killed once or twice, and I got one of my Rains of Vengeance completely missed him, which was really stupid. Other than that, it was pretty clean. It's just so funny. It's just so funny to me seeing me hit this Guardian for 500 damage. Hit it for like 500 damage, like 10 minutes into the game. There he goes. Successfully cleared Challenge Rift 80. We got it. So anyway, that's how Challenge Rifts work. I hope this video will help you guys dominate them and climb to the top. Just remember, it's ORDR. Try to be somewhere near this level, or it's going to be pretty much impossible. Thank you.